برای توی کوچه رقصیدن، برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن، برای خواهرم، خواهرت، خواهرامون، برای تغییر مغزها که پوسیدن، برای شرمندگی، برای بیپولی، برای حسرت یک زندگی معمولی، برای کودک زباله‌گرد و آرزوهاش، برای این اقتصاد دستوری.
At the core of ritual, there is myth. Myths and rituals are symbolic representations of profound cultural concepts that form a nation's collective memory and are passed down across generations. These cultural products become a part of people's unconscious, their understanding of themselves and of their identity. These rituals are also responsive, interacting with current events in a constant dialogue. When external forces press in, rituals reactivate and adapt. The rituals surrounding mourning and protest are among the most profound in a culture, and they weave together deep history with collective memory. On September 16th, 2022, a 22-year-old Iranian woman named Mahsa Amini was violently assaulted by the police for not properly covering her hair. This tragedy caused a huge wave of emotion and protest. Violence against women under the banner of morality has a long and painful history in Iran. Why is Mahsa Amini's case different? How did it become the drop that caused the cup of patience to spill over the brim? Protests started quickly after Mahsa's death. Women began removing their headscarves in an act of protest, spilling out into the streets to make their voices heard after Mahsa's death in her hometown of Saqqez. In the meantime, the ancient ritual of cutting hair, Geesoo Boraan, as a sign of mourning and protest, was reborn, emerging again from the collective memory of Iranian culture and quickly spreading across the country. The ancient belief in a goddess of water as a procreator of life, death, and fertility has existed in the region since the Paleolithic era. This goddess was worshipped as the Lady of Heaven and Earth, as the symbol of life and death. For centuries, women's hair has been a symbol of that goddess, of rain and fertility, of femininity. Some use this history to explain why, in mourning rituals, women cut their hair as a rejection of that femininity. Cutting one's hair is cutting away their sexual attraction and activity. Others believe that the cutting of one's hair represents a different type of sacrifice. Many groups in the region believe that the head is the sacred seat of the soul, and when you cut your hair and alter that seat, you are in a way sacrificing your very soul. In the collective history of the past, the death of a loved one, of a young person, and a tribal leader was almost like becoming sterile, and many expressed this concept through hair cutting. Traces of Geesoo Boraan reach far into the past. One of the oldest references to the Iranian tradition of hair cutting comes from Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, the Book of Kings. Ferdowsi recounts the story of Siavash, the mythical Iranian prince who was the epitome of chastity, innocence, and faithfulness to the covenant. Siavash was brutally and cruelly killed by Afrasiab for a crime he did not commit. And when his wife Farangis hears the awful news, she braids her hair and she cuts it off. She then goes on to challenge her father for ordering the death of her husband, with her braided hair worn around her waist in a symbol of defiance and mourning. This symbolic act is seen as a signal of maturity and as preparation for an important event, such as going to war. This mourning ritual is captured in wall engravings in Tajikistan, showing scenes of women cutting their hair just like Farangis. The mourning of Siavash is a core cultural cultural memory in Iran. It's one of the oldest mourning traditions among Iranian ethnic groups, and it's survived through countless years of religious upheaval, from the fall of Zoroastrianism to the rise of Islam. Wearing a dress called Ashura, Iranians preserved their cultural practices, the ceremony, the symbols, and the music. This historical background helps us better contextualize and understand the depth and antiquity of the Geesoo Boraan ritual in the collective cultural memory of the Iranian people, and the reason that it's endured for thousands of years. Today, in the Geesoo Boraan ceremonies that are performed among the Lor, Lak, and Kurd tribes of Iran, close female relatives of the deceased cut their braided hair and wrap it around their necks and wrists, just like Farangis in the Shahnameh. After paying their respects to the dead, the hair is hung or placed over the tombstone. In addition to removing and burning headscarves, hair cutting has endured as a symbol of resistance in Iran following the death of Mahsa Amini. The practice has gained international attention and participation, with hundreds of women abroad publishing videos of themselves emotionally cutting their own hair. Many of these women are doing so in solidarity with Mahsa, who was attacked because a few strands of her hair were visible. One of the most important and moving videos that have come out of the Iranian protests is a video of Javad Haydari's sister at his funeral. Javad was a protester speaking out after Mahsa Amini's death, and was one of the first to be killed by direct fire from the regime's police force. Javad's sister kneeled defiantly at his grave, crying as she cut her own hair piece by piece. One video of a French artist and cinematographer cutting their hair was published with this message: the people of Iran, with the presence of women on the front lines, have risked their lives to protest. These people want only the most basic freedoms. These women, these men deserve our support. The crisis in Iran has already claimed the lives of more than 500 people and has led to the poisoning, kidnapping, arrest, torture, and disappearance of hundreds of others. But Iranians are resilient. In the light of this violence, like so many times before, Iranians have leaned on their ancient rituals of mourning, of protest, and of healing to come together and fight back.
برای ولیعصر و درختای فرسوده، برای پیروز و احتمال انقراضش، برای سگهای بیگناه ممنوعه، برای گریه های بیوقفه، برای تصویر تکرار این لحظه، برای چهره ای که میخنده، برای دانش آموزا، برای آینده، برای این بهشت اجباری، برای نخبه های زندانی، برای کودکان افغانی، برای این همه، برای غیر تکراری، برای این همه شعارهای تو خالی، برای آوار خونه های پوشالی، برای احساس آرامش، برای خورشید پس از شبای طولانی، برای قرصای اعصاب و بیخوابی، برای مرد میهن آبادی، برای دختری که آرزو داشت پسر بود، برای زن زندگی آزادی.